and such stuff. How about it so far? Considering the fact that Kenyans are crying about the credits.
The second part is credit.
Yes, they want credits. The complaints all over the border, the theft,
Okay.
the whole syndicate, the whole scandal around the want credit.
I may not be very aware of the second question, but the first one, so a number of people have been arrested, taken to court. Some have been released on bail. The police have expressed their displeasure at the manner in which some of these cases are handled by the judiciary, particularly when the DPP is asking for more time for investigations or DCI, and then they are denied, and then they are released, and then these people go back to acts of criminality. I've always said that judges and magistrates do not operate in a vacuum. That's why in law school, the first thing you get taught at early stage is something called judicial notice. There are some things that the judge do not need to get further evidence. He must take judicial notice of what is prevailing in the society. And he must notice that the judges must notice what's happening in the environment. So I think we need the support of the judiciary to make sure that we hand over these people to prisons for reformation. And sometimes, if it takes ensuring that some of these people will be held without an option of bail, it will be very useful, at least even for some time, to enable the security people to complete the investigations, and so that then they can know that involving yourself in that act of criminality is a serious issue. There is a way these gangs issue, because the problem is not border itself. And I don't want people to see and say, if you are border, you are a criminal. No. It is the gangs operating under border. Otherwise, border on its own, many other people are in border business independent of criminal activities. But there are these gangs that are now using border and goons that are being used for political reasons, for political purposes. And this is a threat to national security, and our police officers are working hard. The National Police Service has also, the IG has deployed more officers. He's working on deploying even further to support these kind of operations in areas where we have higher numbers of goons operating. But if leaders, the two things that I think can work, if community is so angry with this behavior of goons, they can make a difference. And this is how they make the difference. They either force their leaders to forfeit issue of goons, or actually they punish the leaders by carrying goons around. If it becomes less beneficiary to anyone to have goons, if being seen with goons and gangs leads to losing votes, then everybody will run away from it. We must make it less fashionable to have goons and gangs. But at the moment, for as long as everybody is being praised that akona maboys, akona mabouncer, huyo mtu akona watu wanamfuata wengi, hii shida yenye tuko nayo haitakwisha. Na lazima tuketi chini kama viongozi na wananchi tukubaliane kwamba lazima tupambane na hii shida ya goons and gangs.
Okay, fine. Before, let us make this interactive enough. And from the panel, I think we'll go over to the audience and also pick one or two questions regarding the issues that we've spoken about. We've addressed the issue of the border subsector and also cattle theft. So from the audience, I think maybe we can also pick a question or two regarding the two subjects that we've discussed. Now, if at all, there's a mic there? Fine, this can be passed over to the others.
Good evening, Waziri. I'm called Agwanda. I'm from Hope Media, that's Hope TV and Hope Radio. Waziri, I only have 3 issues to bring to your attention. Number one, I'm just concerned. Who is in charge of the Kenya Police in Kenya? Is it the National Police Service Commission, or the Inspector General. Number two, I'm also concerned about the intended recruitment of Kenya Police. Why can't it be done in conjunction with other relevant bodies, say Kenya Prison Service, Kenya Police, National Intelligence, EACC, all these? Why can't they involve? Why is this push and pull in regard to rigidity of employment of Kenya Police? What is it that has to happen which we don't need to know? Why is it that straight line? And then number three, I'm also concerned about the deployment of your senior police officers within Nyanza region. And ukienda pale Omabei, there's a police officer, the CPC, County Commander of Police, CPC, County Police Commander. It's called Mr. Lawrence Koilem. Kisii, we have Mr. Ronald Kirui. Nyamira, though she comes from Teso, I think she comes from Teso, Amojong Agnes, though she's almost retiring, to believe. Then Kisumu, we have Toroi Teach. You go to the region, that is Nyanza region, you find the man in charge of the operation should be someone from the same tribe. Now we come to Kisumu County. The CPC the CPC literally work with the pangas in functions. No action was taken. Moroni, names and those. But since you find that it's some sort of, see, we are in broad-based, so we should know. Kwa sababu saa hizi wanatumika. The house was burnt here. And surprisingly, these people are called police commander's office. So the houses will be burned.
I don't know how long we have, so if one person takes that long, it depends on the moderator though.
CPC. So you can imagine the travel, it can't just end as you had said it, unless you do otherwise. Thank you.
Waziri,
I think your first concern is about officers that serve, as you said, in Nyanza region, you're saying most of them come from one community and so forth. Although in the meetings that I didn't find the level of statements that you've said. Truly, the names you have mentioned are there, but you deliberately picked only Kalenjins from different formations. I'm sure because you know I'm a Kalenjin, so you wanted to put me on the spot. The point is that from across the country, the leadership of the police service is people of different cadre. And from different communities. So I will not, unless there is somebody who has really a genuine formal complaint, which can go to the National Police Service. But from my interaction across the country, wherever I've gone, I have found that most of the officers have been deployed based on their rank and their capacity and their ability. And interestingly, even when we have wanted to change some officers, it is the public who are complaining to say, oh, this officer was a good guy, don't let him not leave. This one is a good guy, let him not leave. Where we have, this is the first meeting I'm getting a complaint based on tribe. In the all Jukwa, Usalama across, the complaints have been based on performance. People have been saying this officer is colluding on corruption, this officer is a drunkard, this officer is unable. So I would have been very happy if you told me that we have officer X, Y, and Z in this county, in this county, in this county, and they are a cause of insecurity, and I think such can be considered. Because now if you sit here and I tell you the whole picture of the National Police Service across the country, you will be surprised that it is not what you are trying to process. And I don't want to look like I am defending anybody. Should there be allegations that you think that there is unfairness, I think it's okay to put it in writing so that the National Police Service and the Commission itself can be able to deal with it. And I didn't get your name. Sorry. Huh? Agwanda. From which media house? Hope Media. Okay, thank you very much. So from Hope Media, I appreciate. Number two, on the question of illicit brew, I cannot disagree with you, because there are police officers who are corrupt and who actually collude with smugglers and sellers of alcohol. And in those cases, we have discussed openly. I have also found some police officers who are drunk at work. So it's not a surprise that we have those challenges. As I've said, there is no way a crime can go on in a particular division without the complacence of the police and the Ngao officers. There is always a person in charge of security environment who is sleeping on the job. And for that reason, therefore, every time we find those disciplinary cases, we handle them for what it is. On the question of police deployment officers, you had asked something about, who is in charge of National Police Service. It depends on, in the Constitution, Article 245 spells out various responsibilities. Are you asking, are you in charge of command? Are you in charge of discipline? Are you in charge of recruitment and promotion? And so forth. There is a shared responsibility. There is no clear, or it is not necessary to have dichotomy between the commission and the police NPS. It is not necessary, because the commission is composed of 5 police officers, 2 retired and 3 serving. The IG and the 2 deputies are members of the National Police Service Commission. And so the ones who are civilians are lesser the ones who have a link with the police. So the commission is a police commission. Actually, the Kenya Police Service, their commission, that is their commission. That's why they sit there themselves, the leadership at the top level. In fact, many people have just said, had we interrogated the constitution process well, we should have made the IG the chair of the commission, and that could have been complete. Because also, just imagine the Judicial Service Commission, where the chair is different and the Chief Justice is different. Because the Chief Justice is the chair of Judicial Service Commission, many things are seamless. And many people think that the chair of the National Police Service should have been the IG himself. But even then, the IG sits there, the 2 deputy IGs and former two retired police officers who are male and female. So the composition itself is police heavy, and there is no reason why there should be a fight. Usually when you have a fight, it's just territorial issues that are unnecessary, and they are easily resolved. Remember that this is an area of command and control. So eventually the commander-in-chief has a responsibility to align everybody, notwithstanding whether it's a commission or whatever, in terms of security focus, to to align everybody to national interest, and that's what we try to do. If everybody was to hang on the law or the constitution or this way, work will not be done. In fact, part of the reason why we had big problem in the first term of President Uhuru Kenyatta on security sector was everybody was trying to pull their side. KDF is saying we are KDF, we are independent. NIS is saying we are NIS, we are independent. Police is saying we are police, we are independent. That never helps. The only most important thing in the security sector is the results. And the results are better achieved through a multi-agency approach, and everybody putting aside their ego and ensuring that looking for the better ways of working together. The question of I'll answer illicit brew another. Thank you. I think there was an issue about goons, and I have answered already that the general issue of goons is an issue that has been dealt with. I thought this is a more orderly conversation, but I hope FM. You know, I thought
yes,
because if you don't have the mic, we keep shouting across each other. It defeats the purpose of having a moderator.
Fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, because before we come back to the panel, one more question from the audience, and then we come back. Inshallah.
Yes.
Were you hearing before? Actually, as it is being fixed, I think you can just,
I can respond to the first question, and then we take the second. The first one for the CDF, I am, NGCDF, I am, you know, it's a debate. So, and being Kenya being a democracy, I am a strong believer in decentralization of resources. And maybe because I was a senator, so I believe in decentralization, and that includes devolution. In the part of devolution, we have money going to counties and they perform devolved functions. In terms of decentralized funds using NGCDF, they perform national government functions but ring-fenced to various constituencies. I don't believe that NGCDF should be scrapped. In fact, I strongly believe that returning the money back to national government in Nairobi so that we go and struggle, all of us, to get that money for basics like education and security is retrogressing, not progressive. And for me, the fact that national government has ring-fenced that money to come and take care of school education and security issues is a perfect way of ensuring that there is equity across the country. There are concerns sometimes that the members of parliament play a key role. But where we've come from for the last 10 years, there has been a greater divorce on the role, direct role of the member of parliament in the appropriation of this money. And even where member of parliament, in a number of cases where member of parliament have attempted to defraud the public using NGCDF, the consequences have been dire for some of the members of parliament. In fact, some of them have lost their seat. Most of them lose their seats by meddling or interfering with the allocations by citizens with NGCDF. So with greater citizen awareness, there is no fund. I can state this without fear of contradiction. There is no fund in Kenya that is administered more independently than NGCDF. It's only in few cases that you can see misappropriation outrightly. But in most cases, the citizens are so woke, they follow their resources. Now, the only problem I have with NGCDF at the moment is that from our perspective, we are trying to push for also in NGCDF itself a specific allocation for security infrastructure. Because as we speak, most chiefs are operating under tree, most police stations are in deplorable stage, some of them are even post-colonial, pre-colonial, sorry, and therefore, the best way to resolve, and I, as a Minister of Interior, we will be making our contribution to the future of NGCDF, and our main contribution will be to say, we want NGCDF to have a definite amount of money set aside for security and security infrastructure. If we do so, there is no reason why chiefs, the way they come to Jukwa meetings, and assistant chiefs should come and spend a lot of time talking about infrastructure, offices, furniture, maintenance of police station, construction of police station. That should be a thing of the past once we agree on what exact percentage should go to security out of these funds. See what NGCDF has done in education. Massive, massive. Just imagine if we always had to go to Nairobi through budgeting process to get money for your constituency. If you reach Bunge there, you are lucky. Sometimes some constituents get more money than others. But this one has a factor of equality, actually, not even equity, equality, so that at the constituency level now you can distribute equitably to serve your constituency.
The second question was on the standoff between members of the public and police officers, which of course has resulted in some police stations being run over by red members of the public. The question is that how many police stations have actually been run over by members of the public in the recent past? And then two, as the man at the helm of that, is they concerned, especially as we head towards the general poll, that some of these things might actually morph into bigger concern than what is actually being witnessed now?
I don't think it's right to say that members of public are running over their police stations. No. And so the answer is none. Yeah, because I understand members of public to be law-abiding citizens. But we have had cases where criminals have invaded police stations. Thugs, criminals, terrorists have burned police stations in Kikuyu, in Olkalau. One was in Homa Bay, a police post. All those have happened around acts of criminality, really perpetuated by thugs, some of whom are facing serious charges of terrorism in court. And they didn't just ban police stations, they banned people's business, they banned the courts in the country. So my take is that we have done well to arrest and charge these people. I think bringing them to justice is one way of deterring continuous occurrence of the same. And should anyone attempt again, even towards election time, we will be firm to make sure that we protect the nation without favoritism. If we don't become firm, we will not have a country to protect. Thank you.
All right. This is an interactive session, and there's also Kenyans following this conversation online. And before I come back to the panel, there is a question from a follower, Kenyan watching online, and is asking. I will not paraphrase. I will ask this directly. Kindly ask Waziri to address the issue of too many roadblocks along Kisumu-Homa Bay Highway, and also the issue of police officers overstaying at their working stations. You can address that.
Police roadblocks are established based on security concerns, but some of the roadblocks have been assessed to be superfluous and to be avenues for corruption. And so where citizens have made proposals that those roadblocks, we must be able to get rid of those roadblocks, the National Police Service, where they petitioned the IG has always caused a review to establish whether there was a security concern for establishing those roadblocks. And so depending on I have no details as to the distance between the two roadblocks and the purpose that they serve. And should it be that those roadblocks serve no purpose or don't serve the intended purpose, I think with a proper petition to the IG, that should be able to be reviewed. And since the person has asked that question, I think we can escalate it to the IG's office to look at the viability and the purpose of those roadblocks.
The second question from that Kenyan following is the issue of police officers staying at the working station.
There's overstaying police officers. We have said that at the end of this Jukwa Usalama process, the IG and the commission sitting together, we will all agree and come up with a clear policy as to what is the maximum period a police officer can stay in a particular station. But also there must be a minimum. We can't give transferring people after 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, 2 months. It will be unfortunate if we were to do so.
Okay. Now let us come back to the panel, and I would request that we keep our questions short so that we can also save on time.
Maybe if I take you back on the issue of gangs, we are seeing the reemergence of gangs, like you said earlier. We have there's Mbogi, there's China Squad, also border linked CBOs. Here in Kisumu, we have seen the city manager talking of how these gangs are interfering with the operations or even the development and planning of the city. These people are believed to be backed by powerful individuals. Maybe what is the ministry doing towards ensuring that they deal once and for all with these people? And my other question will be, previously we have seen a special unit being created to deal with such, with issues to do with insecurities. Maybe is the ministry considering maybe reviving or creating such units to deal with insecurity?
Thank you very much, Filda. Yeah, Fila. Yeah, okay. Filda. Okay. Filda. Okay, okay. You know, this region, they have very good names, very interesting names, very creative. Let me just say that gangs issue, the way I have understood, especially in the Nyanza and Western region, the gangs issue, the way I've understood, is actually a problem that can easily be done away with if leaders agree. If leaders in the first place agree, forget about the police. The police can use a lot of energy and so forth. But if the leaders agree, the gang issue is something that can be dealt with. So partly, I think that when we finish this Jukwa, we must call for an honesty conversation and a meeting with the leaders and ask, what do you want to, what kind of Kisumu do you want? And we have to agree, all of us, and say, yes, these young people are jobless, but we can engage them differently, even as our supporters. We can still engage them as our supporters, even working with us, but peacefully, not carrying knives and machetes and rungus and all those kind of things. So I have no doubt in my mind that there is room for us to resolve this issue through leadership. But since some leaders may not cooperate anyway, because it may not be in their interest to cooperate, they want to intimidate their opponents so that nobody can come forth to become a candidate or so forth, or have free environment. So the National Police Service have no choice but to carry out a serious crackdown on those issues. Then the IG is working on reinforcing the team that is on the ground here by sending also other members who will come and support this team. And I think that the way we say it in Western Kakamega, that applies also to Nyanza region. And I have no doubt in my mind we'll dismantle these gangs. What I just want to encourage young people is to run away from this practice. It is easier to engage in other businesses. The president is working on climate works. There are other jobs that we can all pursue. We can even organize our border sector, and it will employ more people when it's orderly, when it's neat, when it is peaceful. So I think that my encouragement to the young people is to shun these practices and organize themselves in a peaceful manner. Violence does not benefit anybody, and the government will deal with it decisively. Let me say this, I have had behind-the-scenes interactions with a number of elected leaders here, elected opinion leaders in the region, and all of them are concerned about gangs. So in the way I have assessed their body language, I think they are now tired. Even those who are actually having some, they are only having them because of fear. Even them, they are prisoners of the same gangs. So they wish that someone can salvage them from this issue of being gangs. And I think that can be definitely be sorted. Yeah. The second question was on. Yes. No, I just said it is no need for the DCI the DCI as it is can do that job, but with reinforcement in terms of human resource from other parts. The DCI should be able to support from national level. The IG should be able to reinforce the team that is on the ground here to deal with the magnitude of that issue. There is no need to establish a unit for gangs. It is enough. The police, it's not that bad that the police cannot handle. They can handle. It's just that the strength that we have in various counties now is low. We can do better in terms of greater deployment. Thank you.
Yeah, Waziri, I have two quick questions. One is touching on your persona in a way. I hope you'll understand. There have been some sentiments or remarks from you. Some have criticized. I'll give an example of the shoot to kill. The other day, I think you talked about fuel not being residents or members of the public asking for fuel from police officers, not being a major issue or an issue of you maybe delaying in giving out the monthly fuel allowance. Some of these statements, some are legal landmines. Some can also be interpreted or the impact interpreted in a different way by the police officers and also just members of the public. Is this something that sometimes you say and regret, or the impact? Do you maybe look at the impact before they come out? Secondly, there is a concern about government officers, especially the CSs, engaging in politics. It's a thin line between selling government policies or saying what Kenya Kwanza or President Ruto's administration has done and campaigning at the same time. How do you balance this so that it doesn't appear like you are engaging in politics? Lastly, you talked about officers being deployed for the by-elections. I just wanted an assurance, because most of the time you see some officers leaning towards some politicians or aspirants. An assurance that police will be independent or neutral in these particular scenarios. Thank you.
Those are very good questions. I don't think there's the you to worry about whether I mind it or not. Those are very, very good questions, because it's the same questions that the public would like to know. And the first one is do I make a statement and regret? Never. When I regret, I apologize. I come public and say I was wrong. But when I'm a lawyer, so I have to apply my mind before I say many things. But besides also being a lawyer, I am the cabinet secretary responsible for matter security. So you cannot say security issues as an afterthought. You can't say also as guesswork. It has to be well thought out. You must have thought, you must have run through your head before saying. You can't also say it out of anger or excitement. You must have thought about it. So the shoot to kill, for example, is a legal profession. I just read the law. And it remains. I can repeat it 1,000 times. I take 100% legal responsibility. In fact, to show that I was serious, I ended up going to put it in writing as a policy direction to the IG, that when the police officer's lives is in danger, or the life of another citizen is in danger, the police officers have a right to use their firearm. It's just the same thing that the president talked about, you shoot legs or something like that. It is not that it came from the head of the president. It is in the law itself. It says that when a police officer sees that there is an attack, they should be able to use their firearm, and the first option is not to shoot to kill. The first option is to apprehend, to enable you to apprehend. In fact, it says after you shoot that person, you must be able to quickly take them for medical treatment and inform IPO that that has happened. And that's the law, you know. What I talked about, shoot, I didn't even say shoot to kill, but you people added on top of it that I said shoot to kill. I just say that the police officers have a right to use their firearm to protect themselves when their life is in danger. They may use the firearm, they may shoot the person, they may shoot up, they may apprehend that person. But that is the role of the firearm. Otherwise, if firearm was not useful to be used on criminals, especially when people are in danger, then there is no need to issue a firearm. Why would you issue a firearm? What is the purpose? You know? And then many people are taking these statements we are making because in their head, they are seeing themselves as protesters. This applies to a police officer confronting bandits. It applies to a police officer confronting terrorists. It applies to a police officer confronting robbers. So the use of force or use of firearm is not just the thinking that it's a protest, no. It is applying to any criminal that puts the life of the police officer in danger or a Kenyan in danger. It is so simple. I'm not the first person even to say it, to voice it. President Uhuru has said it many times. CS Matiang'i said it many times. Governor Natembeya said it many times. You know, all these people, you know, it's just that for political expediency, you'll see somebody when they jump the other side, they say, oh yeah, they have said this. Everybody knows that that is what's supposed to be doing. By the way, why do all these leaders who are trying to criticize me, why are they walking around with their bodyguard who are carrying guns? So that they do what with those guns? So that when the life of the bodyguard or the person they are guarding is in danger, they use the firearm. So let's not flog a dead horse. It's a fact, it's the law. I am not just a lawyer, I was a teacher of law. So, and every time, every statement I make must be calculated to respond to issues and must be based on the law. And when I am wrong, because I'm a human being, I come public and say, I apologize, I was wrong on this issue. Yeah, and that's what to be. You know, for example, the fuel issue. Fuel, is that even rocket science? I want you to know one thing. More often than not, if not 100 times, if you call a police officer and they tell you the vehicle I cannot release the vehicle, there is no enough fuel. That is what they mean, there is no fuel. That's it, period. There is no corruption, there is nothing. You see, when I used to hear before, I used to think that the police are talking about this because of corruption. It's not because of corruption. And I can look at Kenyans in the face and tell them there is no fuel. And that is the issue we are trying to resolve. And for you to appreciate, you need to understand why. In the leasing program that we started in 2014, it was negotiated that every motor vehicle will be given 450 liters of fuel per month. Not more, not less. So if you have your car for police station, and you had the OCS of Awasi today, direct conversation with those OCSs that were there. You must have seen when I was in Turkana, I was in Tana River, everywhere. When you allocate this fuel of 450, depending on the workload that month, say for example, you allocate 450 and there's Mandamano. Okay, what will happen? They will be running around, going up, down, there's an operation, chasing gangs, there are accidents. They go, accident scene, they come back. They're taking remandees to court, if there are court sessions. Now, as the Awasi OCS said today, the fuel can come to can get finished in 19 days. So you still have 11 days before the end of the month. But you have no way of getting fuel because the contract is negotiated based on the car, and the fuel card only works once in a month, and you'll only get 450 liters. That's why most of them are arguing that increase the fuel. You were there in the session today. One OCS said, let's move it to 750, but there is already a negotiation going on that let's move it fast to 650. So when a police officer tells you, I'm sorry, I can't act because I don't have fuel. And this is not science. As a senator and the other MPs, we have helped the police fuel their vehicles because the fuel has ended before the end of the month. The county governments, many county governments, especially in banditry-prone areas and the what we call semi-arid areas, most of the county government have very good close working relationship with the police. It's not just giving them fuel, they even buy the vehicles, fully fueled vehicles for the police in counties like Mandera, counties like Turkana, counties like Marsabit. So why are we putting this discussion in the open? So that the members of public don't take every statement of support by police officers as corruption, you know? And I see people discussing on social media there. Go to my page. Listen to the police when they're speaking during the Jukwa Usalama. And we can share clips and clips and clips of their complaint, asking us that we need to increase the fuel because they are unable to use it. Let me explain to you, my friend. Just imagine in the negotiated agreement of leasing, you give a police officer 450 liters. They're operating in Marsabit, but they collected the mafuta in Nanyuki. Okay? And that 450 liters includes the one he's coming to take the fuel and go back and go and use it for operations. How do you expect them to use for how long? When they go and do operations 2-3 times, especially when they're chasing bandits around, the fuel is over. So sometimes the IG has to get further operation resources to support. And sometimes if the budget is not in place, that becomes a challenge. And I'm glad that finally, thanks to Jukwa Usalama, you know, these things are being put on the table. We are no longer hiding. We are no longer hiding security issues like, oh, you know, it's a secret, it's our... The Kenyan people are having a conversation on how they are running their police station. Look, have you gone to your neighborhood police station? Have you gone to your home police station? Were you happy with it? No, yeah. I went to my next ward after I became a minister. I was embarrassed. First, it's for 1970s. Second is 2 rooms. One room was taken by a chief. The next room is for OCS. The way a chief took was a cell. So they have a small tumor on the floor where they tie the suspects. So as the chief is working, the suspect is tied down here. I mean, and let me tell you, visit all the police stations, you will ask yourself, I've told you, go to Sondu police station here. Yeah? Built in 1935. It's very small, old. Next door, we have a Sondu Kenjen plan, built of over tens of billions. But nobody even did construction thought that a police station was necessary with about 10 or 20 million. So Jukwa Usalama is getting us as citizens to think about investing in our infrastructure, security infrastructure. And if we don't put things to the fore, citizens will be suffering there, and we are hiding in some dark corner saying that, oh, you know, this is national security, which it should not be discussed. Let it be now that Jukwa Usalama has brought things to the fore so that we can openly speak the way OCSs, chiefs, and security people are now speaking across the country. Thank you. Oh, no, sorry, you had one more question. Sorry, I became too passionate about it. Politics. No, I mean, I don't see politics as a negative thing. So when someone says you are engaging in politics, I have no problem. It's like he's praising me. Because the definition of politics is, are you saying where I was bad? It's politics that has got me here. You know? I mean, if the people of Elgeyo Marakwet did not elect me in 2013 and put me in Kenyan platform, I would not be where I am. So politics is not a negative thing. In fact, it's the hardest job in the country. Somebody should be proud to stand somewhere and say, I am a politician. You know, I am a senator, I'm a governor, and I am very proud of my, 10 years as a senator, and politics is positive. I don't think, even if someone writes, I saw today in your newspaper, you had written that some ministers were involved in politics, and I was wondering, so what's the problem? Because, you know, the definition of politics is management of public affairs. So management of public affairs includes governance and leadership. You know for sure that I support the leadership of President RUTO. And even sitting here, I will tell you, please, my friend, please vote for President RUTO. He wants to transform this country, and he's already transforming this country. So as a cabinet secretary, I cannot, my first responsibility actually is to make sure that the policies of government succeed and that government is re-elected based on those policies. And that is politics. And that is good thing. And I encourage people to do politics. What we don't want is people to do bad politics or things to do with violence, hurting other people, discriminating. I cannot be allowed as a cabinet secretary, for example, to go around and say, because you don't support RUTO, we will not be given security. That is not politics. That is hatred. That is negative kind of politics. That's not leadership. So I support politics. I believe in politics. I live politics every day because I am at the privilege given by the people of Kenya through the election of President RUTO to serve at the highest level of political decision. And every day we make political decisions on how to govern this country. And there's nothing wrong with engaging in politics. The last thing is that you're saying that officers are being misused by politicians. Yeah, those who are being misused definitely will have to carry their own cross, and disciplinary action must be taken against them. But also support elected leaders, whether they are in opposition or government, there's no issue. Whether it's county or national. The role of the security sector is to support everybody and to make sure that there is safety. And we encourage good working relationship between citizens and police. That's why I'm told police officers, they should sit with border people, and they should sit with student leaders and shoot with everybody, including these people who are leading these gangs. They must be able to call them and sit down and tell them, ladies and gentlemen, let's do some things differently. We cannot continue like this. Thank you.
Okay, away from gangs, politics, and the rest, my concern is around gender-based violence. And today, statistics say that the prevalence in GBV remains alarming at 32 nationwide, but Kisumu is ranking higher. For example, the recent incident that occurred yesterday about that school-going girl, a 13-year-old who was sexually abused and later killed mercilessly. Right now, as it is, you say that the IG has already deployed a special unit to investigate the case, which is okay. Now my concern is around the GBV prevalence is alarming high. So what are the specific measures your ministry will put place at least to curb this, and how will they work together with the county government on the same to reverse the trend? Question 2 on that. Earlier when you were talking to us, you threw the investment on rescue centers on the counties. So my question on that is, as the Interior Ministry developed a national survivor rescue, is not why? Another one, what measures will you people put place at least to guarantee the safety of survivors and witnesses who often face intimidation and are forced to drop their cases? Because we normally get those. Then last one, will your ministry also support mandatory training for chiefs, police officers, and local administrators to respond better to GBV cases? Because we normally find out that we have reckless chiefs and officers who, something that would have been confidential, you find that they've spread it out there, making the victim to lose face and wish for suicide. Then lastly, I'll not forget the safety of the media. We normally get attacked and brutally injured during demonstrations by the police officers, and they do that without blinking an eye. So as the Waziri of the Interior Services and National Administration, what do you have to say on that? What guarantee can you give us going forward that we will be safe during these demonstrations? Thank you.
Waziri, even as you comment on that, there's also a question my colleague here on the panel had, still touching on the GBV. Faith Mateta, I believe you had a question on GBV in regarding the stationing, the GBV desk at police stations, right? So that.
Okay, we know across the various police stations, we have the GVB desk. Maybe are the community aware, or what measures are being taken, to promote this, to tell the community that we have such kind of desk that this information can be reported?
Thank you very much, both Millicent and Faith, on the questions of GBV. Extremely important. The issue of gender-based violence and defilements specifically is a big issue in western part of the country. That is Western region and Nyanza region, and some parts of Rift Valley, especially Trans Nzoia and Bomet, and then when you go to places like Makueni, Nairobi, Machakos, and parts of Coast also. So it's nearly, every part of the country. And I think, to be very honest, we need a champion. We need, champions against the sexual and gender-based violence, and especially for children. And the question is, in terms of reasons why it's prevalent, we have, I think that one, it's repugnant practices in community, wife inheritance, things to do with this issue of, because in some cases it is stepfathers who are perpetuating these issues. In other places, things like disco matanga, because the numbers are prevalent during holidays. That means most children are safer only when they're in school. When they're out of school, their lives are in danger. By the way, it's not just about girls. In some instances also, there have been reports of sodomization of young boys. So this is a very serious issue that is prevalent because of those practices. Number two, it is also tied in some areas with drug and alcohol abuse. When these children are exposed to drugs and alcohol at a younger age, or the people who take the drugs and alcohol, they take advantage of them. In some other instances, the other reason why it's very prevalent is because the families, the community, because the people who defile, especially defilement, who defile young girls are family members, step-parents, fathers, in some situations, step aunties, uncles, and all that. So what happens is that, even mothers tell their daughters, why did you behave in that manner that your father did what he did to you? So the reason, and then they will start saying, I don't want you to talk about it because you will shame your father, your uncle, you will shame this family. So they establish a kangaroo court, and they are saying they will do alternative dispute resolution on matters of GBV, sexual and gender-based violence. And I must say that in the entire engagement that we've had, one of the things I've emphasized among the chiefs is to make sure that they take seriously reporting cases of gender-based violence. There's something I want to appreciate the judiciary. In cases where these people have been arrested, the judiciary has been taking seriously than any other offense. The judiciary has taken seriously cases of sexual and gender-based violence. And I think there is an opportunity when we punish most of these offenders, sex-based, we're able to make progress. Gender-based violence also is about spouses beating their spouses. Husbands are being beaten, especially those ones who are drunkards. They are being beaten by their wives. And then husbands are also beating their wives. So these issues also, when they're reported sometimes in police station, especially when a man is beaten, some police officer wanamwambia mwanaume mzima unapigwa. So, they demean the violence meted on these men. And in some cases also it is the lady, men are, there's a lot of, a day hardly passes. You don't hear in the country that somebody stabbed the wife, or the wife killed the children, or the husband killed the wife and the children, even within the police service, because of mental health cases and so forth. So we are working on raising awareness, because most of this is raising awareness. Enforcement, we have told our police officers, I don't want us to go that way, Faith, of gender-based, whereas it's good to have the desk for those who want confidentiality. But it is advisable that every police officer, whether inside a police station or a police post, or even at his own home when he's on leave, should take seriously the question of gender-based violence without really having to categorize that it is a matters that are only being dealt with by gender desk. Because these are high crimes, these are very serious crimes. We must take it for what it is. And today we were with leaders, and Senator Catherine Muma has been insisting to me even before here that she's among the leaders. There are a group of leaders that would like to become the champions to fight against the gender-based violence. And I welcome the support of all members of parliament, not just to look at the agenda, to make sure that we take seriously this issue. Again, the other practice that actually perpetuates this thing is this thing of early marriages that are supported by communities, practices like FGM and so forth. And you saw in Wajir, for example, a forced marriage of a very young girl. So all these issues, we must deal with them, we must take enforcement, but we must sensitize the public. When the consciousness of the public goes up, I think this issue will be sorted. Survivors, unfortunately, let me say this, that rescue centers are more or less linked to medical facilities, gender ministries and departments and so forth. And it works better when it's a devolved function, because these medical facilities are within county. But I think also from a national level, we need to have a conversation, because it is the police officers you saw, most of the OCS who are saying were the first persons to respond. And when they respond and they find someone who has been hurt, they take them to hospital. They don't know what to do with them. They'll go to hospital, we will pay the bill. And when they finish paying the bill, where are they going to live? And there was a CBO today, I forget the name, that is also doing some work here. I think that we need to make mandatory requirement for every county to have a rescue center for both victims of GBV and sexual offenses like defilement, because these people need to run away. There is a witness protection unit in the Attorney General's office. It's not Attorney General, it's a DPP. So there is a witness protection unit that needs to be supported, and they can do some work. It's also, when we have situations where we have to protect witnesses, I think even from a DCI perspective, we can consult and understand where such witnesses can be taken. That, as Melissa is saying, that there's a lot of leakage of information. You go and tell a police officer such a person is a good. That person, the next you told only one person, and then the next day that person, the other person, the goon is, or before when you leave the police station, the goon is texting you, telling you with offenses in society. I think that such cases should be followed up, should lead to disciplinary measures against those police officers. I think we need in the National Police Service to strengthen complaint mechanism so that complaints against officers who are non-responsive can be taken seriously. And again, the Office of Ombudsman also has a role to play when it comes to failure to deliver services in any place. On the question, in any government institution or a government officer. On the question of media safety, I don't think that the police go out of the way, like you're putting it to say, okay, that one is a Ramogi TV, let me just Lima, that one is the Nation, that one is whatever. Egesa, Kisi, TV, and many others. Or in that case, that should be investigated individually, because then that is really malicious and premeditated. But in most cases, journalists find themselves in the crossfire. The unintended consequences of all these mandamanos and so forth. And it's our responsibility to have continuous engagement. We have an open policy. The National Police Service has an open policy to engage the media. And it's only to our benefit that we get genuine and open media coverage. Sometimes the media houses complain when it's police, but when it's goons aligned to politicians, they support, they don't complain. We had a situation in Nairobi where certain political party was being loud, and then journalists were hurt by goons aligned to that political party. And the journalists never reported. If it was police, it would have been chaos. So we also want you to take violence seriously, regardless whether it's police or individual citizens. And I look forward to also a country where demonstrations will be peaceful, not the kind of violent demonstrations we see in our country that was not intended by the Constitution. Thank you.
With that, it's over an hour since this conversation, or rather this engagement began, and it's now that time that we want to take a very short break. This engagement continues on the other side of the break, but with the permission, Waziri, before we break for that 5 minutes, this conversation is also live online, and in as much as the questions are coming, there's also feedback. And allow me to read just one or two. There is I'm not sure where they are following from, but there is Ngeno Franklin saying consultation is the way to go, and congratulating you on that. There's also Renson Waliaula Mauka. I'm not sure exactly where this Kenyan is following from, but he's also asking that much as these conversations are very key to informing the policies, that you also need to ensure that the recommendations that you get from these engagements make part of the policies as you put it at the start of this conversation. Well, we are taking that short break. When we come back, this conversation continues. And also remember, this conversation is live, so you can always share your questions and also feedback regarding the